Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
The Ozicar Tin Top Cup continues. From round 1 at Brands Hatch, we head to round 2 at Okayama International Circuit. Just like, I think it's Crowded House. Everywhere we go, we seem to bring the weather with us in these Toyota GR86s. Looking forward to watching and bringing you all of the action tonight on Simspeed TV. David Haynes here with Jason Fewens. Jason, these cars really look like a challenge to drive in these conditions, but it rewards the drivers who can get on top of it and keep track of how the track is changing.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Thanks, David. It's a circuit that's very well known, something that's been around a long time here on iRacing, and is a staple for the entry-level racers when they first join up. So there's a lot of drivers will know this circuit. It rewards, like you said, smooth consistency. It has plenty of draft opportunities, heavy braking zones. And the mixture of the wet weather tonight is really going to put a cat amongst the pigeons and really highlight and showcase some of the drivers' abilities.
This is the circuit, key overtaking opportunities at the hairpin at turn 5, at turn 1, or anywhere you can get around the outside in these wet and challenging conditions, anywhere you can find some grip. I think a pass can be made when it's wet. 3.7 kilometers is just Goldilocks for these cars. Not too long, but also not quite, racing in the front pocket or in a car park. It's a decent track. There's a little bit of elevation change set in a beautiful part of Western Japan. This is the format. We've got races coming up, 3 of them 15 minutes after a 10-minute qualifying. Race 1 is set by that qualifying. Race 2 carries a reverse top 8 from race 1. And then race 3 just carries over from race 2. No pit stops required or mandated in the 15 minutes. But drivers might want to, depending on what the track state does, what the weather does. There's a look at the live radar, Jason.
It looks like most of the weather's past us. We can't see anything on the radar, obviously, at the moment, but looking at the conditions out there and just how wet the track is, from my experience, all these drivers will want to be on wet weather tyres because it takes a while for the dry line to form, and there's plenty of grip out there with the wet weather tyres on a drying track.
Yeah, the slicks are bad on a wet track, and the wets aren't that bad on a dry track. So if there's any doubt, I think you put the wet tyres on. Ewan Baker was the quickest in qualifying, and that means he is on pole position with John Merritt, Jamie Stovall, Ben Faulkner, Matt Pluck, and Sam Chapman as the top 6. Then Tim Harris, Brodie Shepherd, Dylan DeBono, Tom Freer, James Chastanoff, and Tony Baker as our top 12 Toyota GR86s in the wet conditions here. Douglas Gowans, Ben Wheeler, Adrian Duke, Will Chen, Hayden Kirk, and Nathan Verney are the next 6 competitors. And then we have Warren Henry, Jordan Dakin, Caleb Heinrich, Peter Wilkinson, Mark Bowman, and Matthew Joy to 24th. Start spacing out a little bit more from here to 25th place. Cameron Hardwick, John Snell, Leon Williams, Dyson Freeman, Ira Felberg, and Vic Bent-Veltzen back there in 30th place. Last driver with a qualifying time is Brendan Nealon in 31st.
Yeah, big depth field, plenty of cars on track, so plenty of passing opportunities. Switchbacks are going to be interesting tonight, particularly through turns 5, 6, 7, and 9, 10, and 11, I think it is. So there'll be plenty of opportunities to try and find some grip on the outside, but then that'll put you on the inside for the change of direction. So waiting for a couple more cars to grid up before we go green here this evening. Looks like we're just about ready.
We have Joshua Horton without a qualifying time. Everyone else set one in the 10-minute session. Thanks to Locked On Lads, Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving, and the No Social Hate campaign. This is Ozicar Tin Top Cup from Okayama. 3 sprint races about to come our way in just 10 seconds' time. Ewan Baker is on the pole position on the outside. Is that where the grip is going to be in the wet? We are soon to find out as they rev up the flat fours. They get ready for the green flag, and for 9 laps in race 1, we go racing, heading down towards turn number 1, tall first gear, wet track. How do you get away? How do you get away smoothly? Well, our top 6, top 7 have all done it, no worries. Ewan Baker's going to go serenely around the outside of turn 1, finding enough grip out there to keep his pole position into a race lead. John Merritt got plenty of experience as well as the front of the field work their way through the S's of turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, in our summary of our last race, quite a few of the drivers made comment on just how slow these things are to get off the line. So it is a bit of an art, particularly when the weather is wet and miserable. A few drivers there just taking excursions off the circuit as they go into the first real heavy braking zone, and a few cars getting quite squirrely and loose under the change of direction as they make their way back up the hill down the straight for the first time.
I never know what the correct line is through there with the elevation change in the dry, let alone in the wet. Some drivers really seem to know. They head down the longest straight towards the hairpin braking zone at turn 5. This is where they could all go bowling if they're not careful. Ewan Baker is watching carefully what John Merritt might do, and Merritt stays in second with Ben Faulkner in third. Here comes the rest of the field, a bit of contact, a bit of a wiggle. Everyone's still looking like they're getting away with it so far, now heading back downhill through the tight and slow infield portion of the lap.
Yeah, most of the drivers are sitting in single file. There's a couple that are going 2 by 2, just looking for that opportunity for extra grip. But Ewan Baker at the moment out in the lead. Ben Faulkner having a big dive under brakes, getting the job done as he has a quick change of direction on the back sector of the first lap. Good passing opportunity there. Looks like 3 wide further back. This could be dangerous if they don't give them each other enough room.
It definitely was dangerous, but it doesn't seem like anyone got bit that time. Hayden Kirk was in a really challenging position and he drops into 12th. Surprise to no one. Everyone is on wet tyres right now, and still there is not as much grip as you'd hope for. Going through the final corner there, you see on the inside there for James Chastanoff, finding it a little slick, and Brody Shepherd held his position around the outside of the final corner. Carrying more speed is Hayden Kirk down towards turn 1, covered off. And you're seeing the drivers searching for grip, searching for the different lines, and maybe also just searching for a bit of visibility out of that spray.
Yeah, the tyres on these little Toyota 86s aren't as wide and large as what you get on some of the Formula cars. It's a little bit sideways there from, I think that might have been Hayden Kirk, just getting a little bit loose. But yeah, not kicking up as much spray as you do see on some of the bigger Formula cars. But
this is for the lead. Faulkner down the inside of turn 4 takes the lead away from Ewan Baker, who goes back to second. Merritt's still running in third. They're drag racing up the hill to one of the highest points of the circuit, the braking zone for the hairpin turn 5, and Faulkner has gotten alongside, gotten to the inside line, and Baker does not seem to be shying away from a fight in the first of 3 races. He's trying to go round the outside of the hairpin, trying to keep the nose of his Toyota GR86 in there, but when the track swaps back to the left, I think he's just not quite far enough up, but he's making a real hot fight of this. And look at 3rd, 4th, 5th, all watching on as eventually Ben Faulkner makes the move stick, but not without a big drifto.
Yeah, Ben looking very comfortable here, only on lap 2 of 9 in the first race. So making opportunities and taking the lead and control of this race while there's contact in the background. That's
Merritt's around 3rd.
Merritt and Baker, correct.
Yeah, so live pictures, John Merritt's around. Replay, bottom of screen, Faulkner just got so close, got to the inside of turn 4 here, and just super confident on the brakes, finding a little bit of grip at the inside line there. Bit of drama already for Merritt, as at the left-hand hairpin in the infield. Bit of contact has sent him around. Always tough to judge the contact in these wet conditions as well, just because the conventional racing line is not what the leaders are doing and not the quick way around here. Looking at the red and yellow car in 3rd, what do we see?
Well, we see Ben Faulkner in control of this race by about 1.5 seconds, but it's Ewan Baker and this is the Ozicar.net replay exactly how it all unfolded. I'd almost call that a racing incident. I don't think there was too much malice in that. It was just two cars fighting for the same bit of track at the same time.
So Ben Faulkner at the moment, as we start lap 3, getting away with the lead of this race from Jamie Stovall, who's just gone through into that second, ahead of Ewan Baker in third, Matt Pluck sitting in fourth, with Sam Chapman in fifth. Dylan De Bono has the fastest lap of the race in eighth, and he's made up some spots. Where did De Bono qualify? I remember seeing him a bit further down the order, in ninth apparently. Okay, so he's working his way up through the field, and here are the biggest movers.
A little bit further back in the race, there's plenty of battling for position. This is P20 Cameron Hardwick at the moment from Velocity Sim Lab going into the hairpin. Tyres should well and truly be up to temperature now, and the drivers have a really good understanding of just how much grip is available out there. It is, you see the weather conditions on screen at the moment, a little bit of a wind, 100% chance of rain, so it's wet out there at the moment, but as you can see on the radar, nothing else coming at this stage, but we are on lap 3 of 9, so the next 6 laps should tick over pretty quickly before we have a chance of any more threatening weather.
Just drying up a little bit. Bono, it says, moving up into 7th right now. So again, just with the fastest lap, moving forward somewhat as we go. And now into 7th. Your leaders away, 2nd through to 6th is this group of cars that you're looking at here. Actually, it's a little tiny bit further back. There are battles all through. John Merritt's trying to get some spots back down the inside of turn 1, around the outside of turn 2 on James Chastanoff. Oh, and too much around the outside of turn 2.
Yeah, that's going to affect his momentum and his drive. But Chasty gets the job done there, retains that position, so you can see just how much John Merritt's pushing there to try and get into the top 8 positions, because of course for race number 2 in 5 short laps time, the top 8 will be inverted, and that will be your starting positions for race 2. I just see somebody in the background as well having some major contact with the wall. Look like that might have been
Matthew Choi?
Yeah, one of the brownie, orange, bronzy colour cars there, sort of coming to grips with the concrete.
I think it is fair to call it shitbox coloured for Matthew Joy, as the Locked On lads are all in support of the upcoming charity drive, the Shitbox Rally. So Matthew Joy getting on board with that with the Locked On lads. But this is where he's knocked a couple $100 off the value of his Toyota.
Rather hard contact there into the tyre barrier, losing his front bumper bar, fair bit of significant damage. Lucky for him, it is only a short sprint race here tonight, so he doesn't have to carry that damage for too much longer. He will have an opportunity to reset the car again for race number 2, but he's going to find himself a long way down the field with plenty of work to do in the remaining heat races.
Looking as best as you can to stay away from any of the parts where there's pooled water, sometimes at the outside of the track, up against the curbs. Definitely not any of the painted lines or anything like that. So De Bono is trying to find the best line, also trying to stay away from a little bit of the spray where possible, closing in on that battle. We were talking about Sam Chapman and Tom Freer 5th and 6th. While the times continue to tumble, Stovall had the fastest lap of the race. Matt Cluck's come and taken it away. And the moves on here, it looks like Chasty's got one back on John Merritt.
Yeah, so this little battle is exactly what we saw 1 lap ago. So it's been going on for the last lap, change of direction, leaning on each other a little bit there, but that's fine. A little bit of door rubbing. That's probably a little bit questionable from
Merritt's around again on the live pictures here at turn 4. He's out in the grass. He's losing more positions. Cars streaming around the outside of the driver who qualified on the front row of the grid. This is how he swaps back, gets to the inside. Inside tyres on the curb, no traction, no traction, no traction. I don't think there was even that much contact there. There was definitely contact at turn 1, but that time it was tyres on the curb, inside where the wet was. De Bono's closing in on Freer and Chapman. There's Freer chopping across the nose there, getting some sideways angle on. As Chapman doesn't seem to have it to drive, De Bono will cut to the inside and also get ahead, running lap 5, heading towards lap 6. Of the first of 3 sprint races for Ozicar Tin Top Cup in the wet at Okayama International.
So Matthew Pluck taking the fastest lap of the race in P4, so he's taken that accolade away from Dylan DeBono, so only 2.5 seconds off the lead, so finding some comfort and some consistency here in these tricky conditions at the moment, halfway through race number 1.
And lap times continue to tumble as you see Ben Faulkner take the fastest lap of the race. And I wouldn't be surprised if someone else then takes it away from him. Here's Nathan Verney, 17th, looking down the inside. The 16th place on Jordan Zakin, Ben Wheeler just ahead of them. You can get good braking off the racing line down the inside, but then you lose a little bit of grip about there when you're on the tight line. Now the outside seems to be the way to go, but it is always changing. It's not a set amount of grip around the circuit. It is dynamic, constantly changing based on the wind, based on the cars, based on where everyone drives, based on the temperature and the way the water flows.
So John Merritt, after that spin a lap ago, all the way back to P19, so he is taking numbers and passing opportunities as they come, so he's gone a long way around the outside here of the Velocity Sim Lab driver on his right. Plenty of grip on the outside though, so he gets the big run down the straight. Cameron Hardwick has to fall back in line and can't do a lot to defend that at this point. Into the heavy braking zone, so some major ground loss there for John. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of his night unfolds. There's still plenty of racing and opportunity to get some moves done, but that spin has just made him work that little bit harder.
Yeah, so tough, a multitude of setbacks, and then that could carry on through the remaining races as well. Remembering we have a top 8 invert from this race into race 2, so at the moment Brody Shepherd is in that 8th place, and you don't want to drop out of the top 8 by any means.
We haven't seen anyone dive into pit lane, not that we particularly need to, but it is a tricky pit lane entry here as well, so just something to keep an eye on. The pit lane's been pretty action-free tonight, but nobody diving into the pits with any significant damage. So Matthew Joy there, who had contact a couple of laps ago, looks like he is still circulating and happy to continue. Matthew Pluck taking the fastest lap of the race again. So again, finding plenty of grip and opportunity out there with the cars around him.
Is it Bob Dylan who said the times they are a-tumbling? Because we've had Matt Pluck come and take the fastest lap of the race away in his pursuit of Ewan Baker. So many drivers are on their personal best right now as they continue to just dry off the track. In fact, everyone inside of the top 10 set their personal best lap of the race last lap. So that's where we're going with these weather conditions at the moment. Also getting a tiny bit closer with a little bit of sun coming out, but still not quite there yet. Heaps and heaps of great battles. The wet weather really just opens up the whole width of the track to be usable. You find some grip somewhere off the normal racing line, then maybe that's a way to pass. That's a way to stay close and run close.
You can see in the foreground Ben Faulkner leading this race 1.2 seconds back to Jamie Stovall, who's had a pretty event-free race to this point, which has allowed him to sit comfortably in P2. Then there's a little bit gap back to Ewan Baker in P2, and Matthew Pluck, Dylan DeBono make up your top 5, but we're looking at the battle just outside the top 10 at the moment.
Ooh, very close there between Merritt and Dakin as they go through this next hairpin, heading through the final 2 corners of the lap. And time is ticking away. I think it still says 2 to go. It's Ben Faulkner goes quicker. Again, everyone has their personal best on the laps that they're just completing. 3rd and 4th. So close here, and in the rain at these speeds we're actually running out of time before we run out of 9 laps. The 15 minutes will come first, but if it gets drier we might get the full 9 laps in some of the later races. Barning has got the white flag out. It's been out since Ben Faulkner crossed the start finish line to start the final lap with a minute left on the clock there. Stovall following along in 2nd, and a battle of the Silver Ferns here, 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, I don't think Matt Pluck will do anything too silly at this point because it's still going to put him in a good starting position for race number 2. But the battle is on at the moment. James Chastanoff sitting just outside that little window. So Brodie Shepherd, with a couple of corners to go, sitting into the position where he's potentially going to lead away for race number 2. Looks like he's got a bit of air behind him, so he's under no real threat at this point.
So this will be the last lap. John Merritt still trying to make as many positions as he can, battling with Nathan Verney, battling with Benjamin Wheeler there, 15th, 16th and 17th. Time about to run out for your race leader and for second place to be able to catch them. Ben Faulkner is going to come out the final corner, square it off towards Barney with the checkered flag and take the win in race number 1 of Ozicar Tin Top Cup from Okayama, with Stovall there in second, Baker holding on to that third, where Matt Pluck didn't look too eager to take anything away from him. Lots of positions gained through this race for De Bono, who seems pretty happy with his 5th, and then Chapman, Freer, Brodie Shepherd all close 6th, 7th and 8th, and they will remain inside of that top 8 for the top 8 invert, which will send Brodie Shepherd to the pole position, and Chastanoff, Harris, Hayden Kirk, and then looking at Merritt trying to get every position he can to right at the end of the race.
Yeah, it's a long championship. We are only a couple, 2 or 3 rounds into it at the moment, so it's nearly at the halfway point, so plenty of racing still to go. So every point does count. So John Merritt there gaining a handful of positions after his mid-race misfortune. So, like I said, every point does count towards your overall championship. But Ben Faulkner there taking the win, having a celebrationary drift in the tricky conditions there, doing a pretty good job of it too, to celebrate the maximum points haul for race number 1.
Normally they do drift events on the short circuit here, but he's doing it for the full layout. It was just 8 laps as we ran out of time in Ozicar Tin Top Cup in race 1. Ben Faulkner taking the win from Jamie Stovall, Ewan Baker, Matthew Pluck, Dylan De Bono, Sam Chapman, Tom Freer and Brodie Shepherd, your top 8 that will now be inverted for the grid of race number 2. Behind that, they all start race 2 as they just finished race 1. James Chastanoff and Tim Harris completing that top 10. And then Tony Baker, Douglas Gowans, Adrian Duke, Benjamin Wheeler, John Merritt, having started second, will not be happy with 16th place. They're ahead of Nathan Verney, Cameron Hardwick, Jordan Dakin and Will Chen. And as we read these results of race 1, they're lining up for race 2 in this order, with Callum Heinrich, Dyson Freeman, Warren Henry, Mark Bauman, John Snell, Vic Bent Veltz, Leon Williams, Ira Felberg, and Brendan Nealon and Peter Wilkinson as the top 30. There were 2 more, and they were Matthew Joy, who we saw put a bit of damage on his car but stay on the lead lap, and Joshua Horton, who was a big handful of laps down. So let's just look at the top 8 for race 2 after that invert. Brodie Shepherd and Tom Freer will be the front row, then more Vermilion cars with Sam Chapman, Dylan De Bono there in 4th, and then Matthew Pluck and Ewan Baker. Some more KSR action in the 6th and 7th there, and then Jamie Stovall 7th. Ben Faulkner made some moves to get to the front of race 1. He's going to have to do the same here in race 2. Starting out of that 8th place, weather is behind us, track is drying off. They should have a good knowledge of where the grip is at for race number 2 as we get underway from the standing start. Super tall first gear, slipping the clutch best as you can until finally you get up to some real race speed and some real revs, and we're 3 wide for the lead, 3 wide behind. It's all on in race number 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest there be too many drivers that have elected to go for a dry tyre between the heat races. There's still plenty of spray being
Ben has, and Peter and Joshua Horton has. So we've got 2. I'm not sure that's the way to go. We've got some drama around the outside of turn 2 for Tony Baker, and I'm not picking up. Oh no, is it friendly fire with John Merritt?
Yeah, with Wilco and who else was that? Matthew Joy, sorry. Taking slick tyres. If you're at the back, you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. So good to see a couple of drivers out there taking that gamble. Just keeps things interesting and everybody can learn from it.
It's more like a race 3 gamble than a race 2 gamble to me, but I guess we'll find out. No one up front has done it and taken that risk. We don't know where the crossover might be, what it might look like. This is up front. Tom Freer leading from Brodie Shepherd, Sam Chapman. Positions changing inside of the top 8 here. A little bit of contact happening in front of Ewan Baker. I think Dylan DeBono is still trying to get forward. He's sandwiched between Pluck and Sam Chapman. We're going to try to take a look bottom of screen at some of the carnage off of the race start at turn 2, particularly for John Merritt. Oh, yeah. His own teammates done that to him, unfortunately.
So we're back to live pictures and plenty of action as we complete race number 1. Our race 1 winner in Ben Faulkner looking very, very racy on the back of Dylan DeBono, and he can see Tom Freer out in front just making a bit of a gap for the group behind at the moment, a 1.2 second gap on the first lap. So
got to keep an eye on.
Will be keen to try and get to the front of that little battle pack to minimise the opportunity to Tom Freer to get some clean air.
So we've got to keep our eye on Joshua Horton here, who's the highest placed driver on slick tyres at the moment, 17th place, not on the wets. He's gone for the dries, and then so has Will Chen, who is in the right part of the world to love a bit of tofu, but probably in the right car to deliver some as well. So we'll keep an eye on what their lap times look like, but everyone in front, the top 16, are all on wet tyres, including race leader Tom Freer, 1.1 seconds ahead of the carnage behind, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, all in a line there. We're getting later in the day as well, sun higher in the sky, maybe a little bit more heat as we go along as well. DeBono's looking down the inside of the hairpin.
Yeah, Faulkner getting very, very good drive through and the outside of the hairpin. He gets the job done on DeBono, but it's not over. DeBono looking for an opportunity to unsettle Faulkner in front. Let's change of directions through turns 5, 6, 7, just delivering that opportunity for a few different racing lines and drivers to experiment and have a look for different grip levels around the circuit.
And here's Joshua Horton, taking more conventional racing lines. Now he's on the dry tyres, wet tired cars in front of him. And he seems to be keeping up, but he's the kind of driver that I think on wet tyres inside of the top 10 will be keeping up with the top 10. So it's tough to then judge him against what 16th place pace looks like on wet tyres to him on dry tyres. We're about to have him set the first flying lap of the race. And it's a 149.7. So he's only... he's still a second and a half away from Ben Faulkner. He's making progress here.
Yeah, it's still quite slippery out there. You can see some of the cars still struggling for a little bit of grip under acceleration, getting loose in the back end. So there's still plenty of puddles and grip to be found on other parts of the circuit. But out in front, Tom Freer into the braking zone at the hairpin. You can see Brady Shepherd, Matthew Pluck, Ben Faulkner, Dylan DeBono making up your top 5. Good little battle here in front. Faulkner looking for a very unconventional line. They exited the hairpin.
Well, he got down the inside. He went in very deep across the nose of Matthew Pluck, almost turned himself across Pluck's nose, just managed to stay on the road, and in doing so, he's gone up to 3rd. This looks like back with Will Chen in 20th in his dry tyres. Now, one of the things that we have noticed, wet tyres to dry tyres, is regardless of the grip, there seems to be more rolling resistance to the wet tyres. In a straight line, where you can keep the car on the road with the slicks, you will have more straight line speed. So that's one of the things that can help out the dry tyres, because once you reach that sort of crossover point, you are quicker in a straight line on slicks, making it a little easier to get some of your passes done.
Looking back in the pack, Josh Horton here, Billy Motorsport, so he is our lead driver on the slick tyre. Still, like you said, having trouble keeping up with the pace at the front. Last lap, 3-second difference, so big margin there, losing out at the moment. So that could have a fact with the battle is a fact that he is battling with cars on track at the moment as well.
good racing for everyone, and that's what you love to see. It's not just about, you know, who's winning, who's second, who's on the podium, that everyone that comes out on a Monday night for Ozicar, you know, gets to leave feeling like they had a battle, like they got a bit of dust on their boxing gloves, and they found someone of a similar pace to them that they could have a good fight with. And that's what we've got here. 14th, 15th and 16th side by side. How about 3 wide as Horton? I'm talking about that straight line performance that the dry tyres have got. He just pulled on both of them, slotted down the middle, 2 positions, easy as you like, in a straight line. So long as he can keep it on the road in the corners, he's doing so well for himself down the back straight, up into 15th for Joshua Horton, and it is not looking like a mistake that he's got those tyres on.
Ozicar, not Ozicar.net replay. I'm having a shocker tonight. This is past the second on the circuit, so still plenty of battles happening up the front end as well, but a bit of side-by-side door action further back. This might be John Merritt and Ben Wheeler going door-to-door.
With slick shod Will Chen just behind as well, so plenty to dissect out of this one. Right smack dab in the middle of the 32 car field. This is that straight line performance for the slicks now. Look at Will Chen go. He's got 20 extra horsepower down the straights here. He can keep it on the road in the corners and in the straight line. He just looks like he's driving a Supra, not a GR86.
Straight line speed definitely an advantage there, but not able to get the pass done. So John Merritt doing a really good job of defending and retaining his position. But as we look through
the race leader is under attack as Ben Faulkner has the fastest lap of the race, has come through the field from 8th place, looking down the inside to take the race lead away, side by side for the race lead right here. Faulkner with his nose in front, into the hairpin, hooks a little bit of the banking. De Bono's also looking to make some moves here as 3rd and 4th kicks off as well.
The battle on screen at the moment is for the final step on the podium, so any one of these drivers can take advantage of a mistake from another driver. They'll find themselves a little bit more comfortable, a bit squirrely there under brakes as a little bit of contact is made between the 3 vehicles. They sort themselves out, live to fight another day. Still 6 minutes remaining in this race. Dylan De Bono, we jump on board with him now as we look at the back of Matthew Pluck's Toyota 86.
We're going a fair bit quicker in this race than we were in race 1 as well. Our fastest lap, I think, was sort of in the 149s in race 1. We're doing 146s right now and going quicker as well and just continuing to pick up pace as we go. So the speed is up, the track is clearly drying, and there's less spray. Did you notice down the pit straight there and through the corners, they're hitting some parts where there is no spray. Oh no, Joshua Horton's had a drama. He's no longer the highest running car on slicks, as that's Will Chen. And the progress made through the field has come undone on the pit straight, I suspect, through the final corner. What are we about to see? Some curbs, some wet patch, some puddling. A bit wide. There's no grip out there on slicks. There's no grip through that puddle on slicks. But he kept it off the concrete until there.
It looked like he almost had that thing saved and pointing it in the right direction, but a bit of a tank slapper on the back end of it just come unstuck. So, yeah, they're very disappointing because Horton was doing a really, really good job there on tricky trying conditions on those slick tyres.
Oh, contact! And he gets turned. Off the road goes Dylan De Bono. He's not happy with the contact. Back into the fight. Missing a rear wing though.
And finding himself back on the back of the top 10, so losing a handful of positions there from where he was sitting. Could have been a lot worse, but obviously race control looked at that at the end of the race and determined an outcome. But definitely a little bit of car contact there made between the 2 drivers, but tricky conditions like I said.
We had 4 minutes on the clock when Ben Faulkner crossed the line. He's doing lap times underneath 2 minutes. I think we get the full complement here. The 146.7 as the fastest lap of the race, and everyone else doing similar. So Faulkner ahead of Freer, Pluck, etc.
Yeah, Will Shen taking the fastest lap of the race on dry tyres.
Now belongs to the slicks. It's slick o'clock with 3 laps to go. Look at this straight line performance from the dry tyres though. Like it's insane. It just looks like he's got 20 more horsepower. He's got less rolling resistance on the dry tyres than everyone else. He seems to be able to pick up just enough traction. And then look at, he'll sail by here. He'll just absolutely sail past John Merritt.
Yeah, with the benefit of the rolling resistance in his favour, he'll have the benefit of the draft and the confidence that he's got over the last few laps. Gets the job done well and truly before the braking zone does move across just to cover John Merritt though. There's not a lot Merritt can do to battle that. Here we go, 4-5 wide in the background. This is pretty interesting for a top 20 position.
Oh, it's good, isn't it? Joshua Horton, the number 43, is right in the middle here. We know the dry tyres are the ones to have so long as you stay on the road and you don't hit the painted concrete, the painted lines, the curbs where the water pools, or the gravel, which I think definitely the part of the beach within the tide line at the moment. So there he goes down the inside. Easy, he's got the grip through the corners, he's got the speed in the straight lines. He just needs to keep it on the island now. With 2 laps to go, we will go the full 9 in race number 2.
Into the heavy braking zone, turn number 1 with a couple of laps to go. Ewan Baker and Brady Shepherd going side by side. Shepherd will have the inside for the change of direction on a drying track, both on wet weather tyres, so no real benefit there from one driver to the other, just the fact that grip does differentiate across the circuit, like you said, with the dynamic changing conditions. Will
Chen resets? No, doesn't quite match his previous fastest lap of the race because he's had a drama. Oh no. This is always the thing, even when the slicks are quicker, there's just more risk involved. The passes are still tough when you have to go offline. Will Chen's dropping back through the field. Joshua Horton back up to 16th. So John Merritt, he's to the inside of John Merritt. He's getting squeezed to the curb. Not where he'd want to be running. He's been forced to a line not his preferred, and that's where the danger is in the slick tyre.
Yeah, it was almost a carbon copy of how Matthew Joy came unstuck in race number 1 on the same corner. Just getting a little bit loose and finding that inside tyre barrier. So a couple of cars suffering the same fate in tricky conditions, particularly so late in the race.
Spacing out up front as we're about to start the final lap of the race. Ben Faulkner, 1.8 seconds from Tom Freer, who's then 3.5 from Matt Pluck in 3rd. And Ewan Baker in 4th. Has got it all busy behind him. That's quality flag waving. You'd never get that from a celebrity on Grand Prix weekend. But Barney's not very Japanese looking cousin knows how to make it happen and send us on the final lap of race 2 of 3.
Looks like a big dive there on the inside for another one of the Kiwi Sim Racing drivers, Hayden Kirk. So they're still battling for position just outside the top 5, so points on the board here. It looks like he is battling with Brady Shepherd with a Million Motorsport car in front. Jamie Stovall, who had a good race result in race number 1 on the back of his car. Joshua Horton, dry tyres, fastest lap of the race on the final lap. Definitely within the crossover right here. The wet tyre is still not a bad tyre to be on. They're the safe option. No more rain is coming. No more rain is falling. There was only 2 very, very brave takers of slick tyres for race number 2. I think they've received some amount of reward from their roll of the dice, but both of them with challenges throughout this race so far. And it's just so packed in the battle through this part of the field right here. These gainers, Joshua Horton, Peter Wilkinson, Ben Faulkner, we're getting into each other in the straight line there. De Bono, easy to spot with no rear wing behind Sam Chapman and Douglas Gowans, with Adrian Duke behind, on the final time of asking for race number 2. Ben Faulkner started from 8th on the grid with the reverse top 8. He's come through. He's taken another win. 2 from 2
with one more to come for Ben Faulkner. Tom Freer there in second. Pluck closed down a little bit on the final lap here, but still taking third from his teammate, Ewan. Can we get 4 wide to see it out here in the battle between Chapman, De Bono, Duke, Douglas Gowans? Gowans takes the 10th, I think, just ahead of Sam Chapman by... Is that a whisker? Is that a sushi paper? Horton takes the fastest lap of the race on the final lap.
Yeah, so plenty of drivers still out on the circuit. Will Chen there on screen. A couple of drivers on the back end. Brendan Nealon still circulating for pulse tuning at Shuka Toyota. A couple of different liveries from that team out there. There's yellow ones, there's red ones, there's white ones, there's black ones. So a lot of drivers out there and a lot of good looking cars as well. Leon Williams in P31. Looks like potentially out of fuel. That doesn't sound right.
I couldn't tell you. He's dead stick.
Yeah, there's no smoke, so it's not like he's blown an engine unless that was some time ago in the lap. So potentially, learning from race number 1 where we were shortened, he's taken less fuel for race number 2 and then being caught out with the fact that the lap times are quicker and we have gone lap certain instead of time certain. So maybe that's what's happened here with the car number 31.
Yeah, not only have we gone quicker, we've gone more time at full throttle for 1 extra lap and had a lot more, pedal to the firewall time in that 15 minutes than we did in race number 1. Race number 2 was certainly interesting, and it belonged to Ben Faulkner. Came from the reverse top 8 through to the front of the field to take a win again from Tom Freer, who converted second to second. Matthew Pluck from 5th to 3rd. Ewan Baker from 6th to 4th. Brody Shepherd with that pole position that he inherited, holding on to a 5th place. Hayden Kirk coming through the field, 11th to 6th, 9th to 7th for Chastanov, 10th to 9th for Tim Harris, and Douglas Gowans 13th into the top 10, just ahead of Sam Chapman, Adrian Duke, Dylan De Bono. Those 4 drivers crossing the checkered flag, 4 wide on the pit straight. Behind them, John Merritt, and then Joshua Horton on slick tyres showed a lot of pace, but it was challenging. Nathan Verney, Dyson Freeman, Ben Wheeler through there. Will Chen also taking the gamble on slick tyres. And the top 20 completed by Tony Baker. The rest of the field further behind with Cameron Hardwick, Peter Wilkinson, Callum Heinrich, Warren Henry, Mark Bauman, John Snell, Jordan Dakin, Ira Felberg, Brennan Nealon, Matthew Joy, I think, might end up getting scored a lap. And then we'll wait and see. Then Leon Williams, Vic Manfelson. That was our 32. They take a little bit of a break, but there is one race still to come of Ozicar Tin Top Cup. And in the warm-up session, normally we don't see many drivers go out, but they need to know what the weather is doing and what tyre to be on. You're not going to want to miss it, so stay with us on Simspeed TV with one race to go of Ozicar Tin Top Cup, supported by Locked On Lads, Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving, Sim Racing Leagues, and the No Social Hate campaign. One more exciting race to come.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
You're watching Simspeed TV, one final race of Ozicar Tin Top Cup Round 2 from Okayama International Circuit to come. The sun is out, the track is drying, everyone was on wet tyres for race 1, 2 drivers braved slick tyres in race number 2, and they looked pretty good. Since then, the drivers have had warm-up session to feel out the conditions, and a little bit more time for the circuit to dry off. What are we going to see for the final 15-minute race from Okayama? They're gridding up right now.
A little bit disappointed, David. There was an opportunity there to make a remark about the land of the rising sun, which we let slip. But blue skies, a few dark clouds around, but definitely a drying track. So absolutely changing conditions and the complete contrast to what we saw when we started the day, race number 1. That most of the drivers are on the grid ready for the commencement of our feature race here this evening. Again, combined points from race 1 and 2 determine the grid for our feature as the revs start to rise.
There's only 2 drivers out there on wet tyres. John Snell and Jordan Dakin in 25th and 26th position. Everyone else has fitted the Continental slick tyres to their Toyota GR86, and a jump start from 4th place Ewan Baker. He's out of his grid slot before the green flag waves. He'll surely have a black flag. He came to a halt again, and he does. Ewan Baker from 4th has a penalty for a jump start. Ben Faulkner, no worries at all for him on the dry tyres, carrying around the outside into the lead of the race from Freo, from Pluck. Baker now up into 3rd, but he'll know he's got a penalty. His teammate there will probably know he's got a penalty. James Chasnoff also making some moves into 6th, and there's the confirmation. Let the clutch out too early.
Yeah, he's had some really good results so far. So that's going to be an absolute game changer for the championship as he just to move across under brakes, and might be Brody Shepherd there finding a little bit of dirt in the entry to the corner, which puts him in a compromising position as they go 3 wide down the back straight for the first time.
so close for everyone except race leader Ben Faulkner waltzing away. There's Ewan Baker doing a little bit of tactical stuff, pushing his teammate Matt Clark up into second place. The rest of them work their way through the hairpin. Super big braking zone there. A little bit of camber that you want to hook, but you've got to be so careful. Racing wheel to wheel like we are right now. Not seeing a hint of moisture on the track or a hint of spray off any of the cars right now. The sun is out, the track is hot, 41 Celsius, and the drivers on wet tyres are falling backwards through the field.
Yeah, 41's a complete contrast from race number 1, where I think it was actually 21 degrees. We've doubled our track temperature for the feature race, so going to be very interesting. You can see Ewan Baker there. I think it's just diving off into pit lane to serve his black flag penalty as early as he can. Hopefully he doesn't get a speeding in pit lane penalty on top of that.
I think he's all right on that one, but it's going to cost him big time in this short race 3. It will be 9 laps, but it will be less than 15 minutes at the speed that they're going to do on this dry track with dry tyres. Ooh, it's not looking great there around the outside, though. Adrian Duke is off. So too is Douglas Gowans. I think there's 1 or 2 other cars through there as well, like Cameron Hardwick. Hello. There's no grip outside of turn 1.
Adrian Duke waiting patiently for a heap of cars to continue through before he gets going, but that was like it just kept on going and going.
Yeah, so tight enough first lap, but then after that very start of lap number 2 there, it started kicking off. Making his way through the field here. John Merritt's already up to 6th. He has been lightning through the field at the start of this race number 3.
Again, another car getting sideways there, getting very, very loose and finding themselves on the inside of the corner there on turn number 7. I think it is Sam Chapman there looking for an opportunity to turn around while another car is towed directly back to the pits with some significant damage by the looks of it.
Still into Bono. So relatively chaotic, even though the track should be mostly dry. We take another look. Oh, there's De Bono getting the grass, spinning around and looking up and going into the side of Sam Chapman.
Yeah, unfortunately Sam just found himself at the wrong place at the wrong time with very little option. Particularly on a bit of a blind left-hand corner there, where he just sort of come around the corner and saw a car darting across in front of him. So James Chestnoff, we jump on board with him now. Some results inside the top 10 so far. He finds himself up into P6, making a couple of positions in the feature race. He is looking at the back of John Merritt.
Is there raindrops falling right now? It looks like it. Sure looks like it. Is it a little bit of moisture being kicked up? Nothing on the radar, but there is low cloud fog almost.
Looks like it seems to be on a number of different cars.
It's not on the windshield though, so I'm not seeing it really so much elsewhere. It's definitely still slick tyre pace with the fastest lap belonging to Ben Faulkner at 1 minute 44.
I don't know if we can get a radar up to potentially see what's going. We might have the insight that the drivers don't have.
Nothing. Not a hint. Not a spit. Nothing on the radar. Sun's out too. You can see the shadows, and John Merritt is flying along right now. He's up into 4th place, having started 14th on the grid, and he's pushing Jamie Stovold for 3rd. Seconds just there with Tom Freer. Hello. That would be John Merritt trying to say race 1 and race 2 were not representative of my pace. Qualifying 2nd was representative of my pace.
So yeah, that actually highlights just how well John's actually driven so far, because he has had a couple of shockers in race 1 and 2, still earn enough points to give him a half reasonable start again here in the feature race, and he finds himself inside the top 10. So
Reckon he's got some pressures.
So 14th up to 4th so far in this race, so we're making hay while the sun shines, literally.
slick tyres just look to be given more grip everywhere than anyone else. Stovall's got nothing to hold off John Merritt in the braking zones, in the traction zones. He needs someone to push him. He needs a little bit of slipstream, though, to be able to clear Stovall here down the back straight towards the braking zone. He might get it. He'll be down the inside either way. And in the dry, that's where the grip is.
So they were 2 by 2 as they go back to... they're still battling for position. James Chastanoff there and Matthew Pluck. Chastanoff looking for the inside line and going back to single file, but Matthew Pluck there definitely looking for an opportunity to get back in front, retain that position, because if he doesn't, he'll find himself under pressure there from Brodie Shepherd and Tim Harris in the background as well.
Having been through the pit lane for his drive-through penalty for jumping the start, Ewan Baker up to 15th. It's shortly going to be 14th if James Chastanoff doesn't get going quickly. He's dropping back through the field and he's been backwards. Chen is on slick tyres as he goes around to 11th place there. This is why. I think that's Pluck behind? Yes.
The Ozicar.net replay showing exactly how that all unfolded. Chastanoff doing a good job to keep it off the wall and potentially not losing his rear wing. So there's also a heap of track time, heap of positions. We jump on board with Timmy Harris in the Toyota Echuca Pulse Toyota 86. And he has a pretty good rear view of Brodie Shepherd, the car in front, who is behind Matthew Pluck as they make their way down through the long sweeping right-hander onto the back straight. This is an opportunity for Timmy Harris to get in that slipstream and get the toe along the back straight, potentially pull out under brakes into the heavy hairpin. Might be a little bit far back at the moment to get the job done, but definitely getting a toe down the back straight.
It's lap 5 now, the final race of the round from Okayama in Ozicar Tin Top Cup. Started out very wet. It's a bit mixed in the middle race, and there's some contact there. Freer and Stovall battling for third. And Tom Freer's gone around, lost a heap of positions here. Pluck's gone through into third off of that. Stovall's also dropping back some. So now it's Faulkner, Merritt, Pluck, Brodie Shepherd, Tim Harris gets through to 5th place on Jamie Stovall, and looks like he's got pace to burn on a bit more. That's how it happened between the teammates. Not much contact there, let's be real.
No, it was all pretty light, wasn't it?
It does look tough. Slicks are the tyres to have, but it still looks tough out there. There's not all the grip in the world you'd hope for. Some drivers look like they're either struggling with over temperature or under temperature. And then there's a few drivers that just look like they're on tyres from a different world. The speed that Tim Harris and also John Merritt and some others have had, if there's tyre pressure meddling to be had, they've hit it just perfect. Tyson Freeman making it still a tough one for Kiwi Sim Racing. Here's Pluck from the same team down the inside in 3rd place, trying to hold off Brodie Shepherd, Tim Harris, Jamie Stovall. Some quick guys here. Shepherd gets a good exit, but so does Tim Harris, and we might get a bit of 3 wide down the back straight here. John Merritt back up in the 2nd place in his own world out front.
Yeah, a bit of drafting, a bit of pushing going down the back straight on both sides of the circuit, but the inside car is going to have the benefit there of the shorter route. Looks like Jamie Stovall looking for a way around on Matthew Joy there, I think it is in car 57.
Pluck.
Sorry, Matthew, yep, Pluck. Single file as they make their way back through. Tim Harris in P6 as well, so an opportunity, if anything was to happen to the cars in front, is there in a prime spot to take advantage. A little bit further back, Hayden Kirk in P8 is in a good little battle with Nathan Burney from the Locked On Racing team.
Tell you what, there's been some big winners now. We've changed to the dry conditions and the dry tyres all round. It's a few drivers that maybe just haven't quite found their webbed feet for the wet yet, but they are still quick drivers. So Ben Veltson up 14, Merritt up 12, Warren Henry 10, Ira Felberg 10. Also, we were just looking there. Nathan Verney's found 7 to be where he is up into ninth place. So there have been some decent winners in the drying conditions.
We're on lap 7 of 9, so we are in the back end of our feature race here tonight. Ben Faulkner, our leader by 4.86 seconds, does hold the fastest lap of the race. Ira Felberg from Ozicar at the moment getting a little bit loose. Ben Wheeler in the background just reacting to the back of the car there of 55, I think it is.
Yeah, Wheeler and Felberg. So Wheeler had a bit of a moment. Felberg also had a tiny moment through turn 1 there, just trying to make sure they don't get into each other. And now a big dive to the inside. Is that the way to do it for Felberg? It's almost a slide job as he then goes out wide on the exit, parks it in front of his rival, and tries to switch back in the race up the hill towards turn 5. We're going to run out of laps before we run out of time. This will be a 9-lap race. Faulkner leading it by 5 seconds over Merritt, is 5 seconds over Brody Shepherd, and Stovall, Pluck, Harris. Other battles elsewhere through the field are Tom Freer, James Chastanoff, and Will Chen right here.
Yeah, Will doing a pretty good job in these dry tyres as well, so we saw him benefit from dry tyres in race number 2, but continuing his climb up through the field with the Tofu Lovers at McDonald's livery, very distinctive in a very colourful field.
Does your local Macca's serve a tofu burger? Because I don't think mine does. I'm feeling a little disconnect name to livery there.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the last time I went into my local Macca's, so I wouldn't know what's on the menu.
But you'd race right in if they had a tofu burger, wouldn't you? You can say no.
I will pass on that opportunity. If I don't know what it is, it doesn't go in my mouth. If I can't pronounce it, it doesn't go in my mouth.
If you can't make the noise that the animal makes?
My wife's a chef and she gets very frustrated with just how boring my adventure regarding food is. So steak, eggs and chips, man, every day of the week. Stick with what I know, thanks.
There we go. So it's super close, as it always is, down the back straight here between Brody Shepherd and Jamie Stovall for 3rd place. This is the penultimate lap. The inside's where I want to be, but that's brave around the outside from Shepherd, who's trying to hold on, trying to keep his nose down the inside as the track then swaps left for 2 left-handers here, and having braked so deep around the outside of the hairpin, held a little position here. He's had a little bit of a rub with Stovall, who bobbles and lets Pluck and Tim Harris through.
Yeah, cracking camera views there too. Just shows how much the cars are moving around. Sometimes you don't realise just how much movement these cars do, particularly under brake. So the driver's doing a pretty good job there. Just have the minimal amount of contact.
I like that trick. He pulls that white flag out of nowhere and he waves it for Ben Faulkner, our leader. John Merritt in 2nd. The lap times are very, very solid right now with the dry tyres in these conditions. And then Shepherd, Pluck, Harris, Stovall, that group of cars right there aren't all that far ahead of Joshua Horton, Hayden Kirk, Nathan Verney and Tom Freer as the top 10. And here's Harris still having a sniff around one way, a sniff around the other. And look at him get that apex curb in turn 2. Never would have done that in the wet. Not in a million years would you be all over that apex curb. But in the dry, that's the way to do it. And that's how you can tell the change of conditions we've had race 1 to race 2 to the warm-up into this race 3.
So Brody Shepherd on screen, sitting in P3 on the podium at the moment, but Matthew Pluck doing a very, very good job of drafting down the back straight, looking for an opportunity to get the move done. It will be here under brakes if Brody Shepherd doesn't defend, which it looks like he is going to. Matthew Pluck pulls to the outside, looking for a way around the outside of the circuit. Brody Shepherd there doing a really good job of pulling it up under brakes and testing conditions under plenty of pressure.
Great work to just use the middle of the road to the hairpin. Yeah, like say, it's going to be tight if you go down the inside. If you go around the outside, you're not going to find much out there. Great car placement from Shepherd to try to hold on towards the end of this race. Ben Faulkner putting a little lap on there as he comes out of the final corner through a tiny bit of the gravel, but goes race 1 Race 2, race 3, it's all Ben Faulkner at Okayama. There's dramas for 3rd and 4th. They're off the road as Merritt takes 2nd. Tim Harris will come through for 3rd, but Pluck and Verney, oh my gosh, they went around a few of them there in the final corner. Stovall gets through for 4th, Horton through for 5th, Hayden Kirk in 6th. How about another drag race to see this one out? Will Chen just behind Ewan Baker there after the drive-through penalty, coming back to 10th. This is what happened for 3rd and 4th.
And you're putting everything on the line there. Matthew Pluck looked like he was just getting in the back of Brady Shepherd. Of course, that concertinaed everything up. There was more contact from the rear of Pluck's car, which sent him into pit lane. So I think that's not only is he going to lose a heap of positions by trundling down pit lane to get the checkered flag, he may get an unsafe pit entry, which will put him a significant, I think it's a 40-second penalty as well. So that'll be very disappointing.
And then it looks like there's a couple more drivers to come around. Sam Chapman and Leon Williams battling for a better position. Williams, is his graphics upside down on the front of the car? Not sure. Dyson Freeman and Douglas Gowans are going to be some of the last cars on the lead lap as well. Oh yeah, he has got the locked on upside down.
So car 07, last car to make its way around the circuit, I believe, at the moment, crossing the flag, or the finish line, getting the checkered flag from Barney. Blue skies to round out our feature race here tonight.
So here we go, race 3. Ben Faulkner goes from pole to the win, 4 seconds ahead of John Merritt, who caught him just a little bit right at the end. Merritt had a whole lot of speed today, but couldn't show it so much in races 1 and 2, where he finished 16th and 14th, but he brought it in the final race, going 2nd place with a huge number of positions gained from Tim Harris, Jamie Stovall, Joshua Horton, Hayden Kirk, Tom Freer, Brody Shepherd in 8th there, James Chastanoff 9th, and Ewan Baker rounding out that top 10. Keep an eye on the times here to see if there was an unsafe pit entry that's been added for Pluck, because I think there has been. Will Chen 11th, then Warren Henry, Nathan Verney, Peter Wilkinson, Ira Felberg, Ben Wheeler, Callum Heinrich, Tony Baker, Vic Bentveltzen, and John Snell. And then Mark Bauman, Brendan Nealon, Adrian Duke, Matthew Joy, Jordan Dakin. I think Pluck has had 40 seconds added, and that puts him a minute 16 behind when he did cross the line about 10th or so. So it has been super costly, the contacts that all transpired in the final couple of corners there for those guys. Chapman, Freeman, Leon Williams and Douglas Gowans, the top 30 in the last cars on the lead lap, because Cameron Hardwick was 1 lap down and Dylan DeBono had a mistake and then got drilled and then had damage and then towed, and then we didn't see him again. It was pretty exciting all around, Jason. Who's going to come have a chat with us?
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be plenty of drivers with plenty of tales to tell after the 3 feature races tonight. But we might drag one of our drivers from the podium. Let's have a look at who we got here. We might drag Timmy Harris in and have a chat with him, because I'm sure he'll have a couple of great stories to tell. As we welcome Timmy to the commentary booth here at Simspeed TV. Tales of success, tales of woe, but at the end of the day, top 10 results for you across both the 3 races tonight.
Yeah, thanks. Really good fun. So I really like the wet races probably a bit more, because yeah, there's a bit going on there, and probably a bit more going on the dry. But yeah, it's really good fun, good challenge. Learning the wet conditions and perfect car to do it, and a great series by Ozicar. So thanks to the lads.
So you look pretty comfortable out there in the dry conditions. Obviously the wet throwing a few curveballs to some drivers and changing conditions between races 1 and 2 as well. So plenty of learning opportunities out there. But from 7th back to 10th in race 1, then up a position in race 2. Allowed you to start from P9, I think it was, in the feature race, and then 6 gains across the course of the 9 laps to find yourself on the podium tonight, Tim.
Yeah, look, when you sound like John Merritt, you can probably sort of somewhat take a couple of risks and go to the back and work your way forwards. But for me, it was just staying on the track and seeing what happened in the feature. And yeah, I really wasn't expecting all that. So my game plan was slow and steady. I don't think I had 1x until that last corner for the whole night. So that was my game plan, and it sort of worked. So yeah, I was letting a couple of guys pass, but you got to do that when you're a bit slower, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's all about picking your battles, I guess. And if you start battling with some drivers, you're only going to slow yourself and them down. So sometimes you just got to play it smart and buy a ticket to the final couple of laps. And that's obviously what you've done tonight, to find yourself in a tremendous result, to find yourself in the feature race on the podium. Good points haul for as a team's champ for your overall championship as well, I guess.
Yeah, look, I'm probably not going to be around for the full season, and my teammates, I think, now out for the rest of the season, and he hasn't done a race yet, so we're probably going to go pretty well on that one, I'd say.
So before we let you go tonight, do you want to do a shout out to your team sponsors, your supporters, your family, anyone else who's helping you make the success tonight that saw you up here in the podium?
Yeah, first off, big thanks to Glenn Riddell from Pulse Chuka Racing for doing the sweet livery. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but I reckon it's pretty cool. Probably the best one on the grid. So yeah, Pulse Tuning, Chuka Toyota TMS, and the Beige Brigade. So yeah, thanks.
Beautiful. We did actually make comment on the different liveries from the different Pulse drivers tonight. So definitely stands out as, you know, the yellow one's nice and bright, but sometimes it's keep it simple, stupid, and the off-white colour with the logo on the side looks $1 million.
Yeah, well, look, I guess the beige works pretty well. It takes you back to an era of underarm bowling and stuff like that, and, you know, I don't know, is that what racing's about? Something like that?
Anyway, pretty good pictures on screen at the moment to get the Pulse Tuning Toyota 86. Plenty of publicity. Congratulations. Hopefully we'll see you again throughout the rest of the season, and with any luck, another podium and another trip to the commentary box.
Look, mate, absolutely pumped, and thanks, guys, for the great call tonight. You guys just did amazing.
All right, there, Timmy Harris, pretty happy with his results there to take away a bag of points here this evening on what is round number 3 of the Ozicar Tin Cup series. Dave, I think you might have gone for a wander. You got someone you might want to speak to here as well after some success tonight.
Well, I think success at the end, John Merritt, but a tough night before that.
Yeah, it was a tough night at the office for sure. It was nice to bring over
for that qualifying, and then kind of took till race 3 before you could really show us it as a race result.
Yeah, look, the wet's fun. It's I sort of got turned in race 1 early on, and fighting back from, you know, in the 20s, she's tough work in a tight little track. So race 2, my teammate sort of got turned and came across the track, and I copped wheel damage in the first lap again. So it was a night to forget, but race 3 made up for it all. It's sort of like golf. You hit one good shot, makes you come back, I think.
I'll take your word. I'm not much of a swing a club at the dimpled balls kind of guy. And then the decision for dry tyres in race 3 looks pretty evident once you had that little warm-up session to check the track.
Yeah, there was that drying line even in that second heat. There was a lot of grip in the drying line. So you're right. I mean, you checked it in the warm-up, David, and away we went. So it was definitely dries all the way.
Griffith and Riffit, great work. And then, I mean, what do you need for consistency then, if we're going to have, you know, changeable conditions like that? What's changing in the brain makeup?
Oh, look, I think the key is sort of not undoing that invert top 8. So stay in that top 8 heat 1, and keep the nose clean, even if you're not going to make the position, and you know, just buy a ticket to that last race. It was hard work off. I'm not sure where else, maybe 14 or 15. It was hard work from there.
In the drying conditions, and I'm thinking especially race 2, what do you start noticing first from the driving perspective? Because obviously the lap times start, you know, the needle moves on that pretty quickly. How do you feel that as it's happening?
Yeah, it's probably just the mid corner and off corner traction, so you can just carry more mid corner speed, and the car's not sort of trying to over or rotate in the middle of the corner. So as soon as you've got that grip off the corner, it probably gives you a bit more confidence to get in there a bit deeper under brakes, lap by lap. So yeah, it's certainly evident. As soon as that drying line comes in, you can sort of just load that outside tyre.
We look forward to seeing more of you. Thanks for coming and chatting to us and working your way up through the field in this one, John.
No, pleasure. Thank you.
There's a few more clamouring around, Jason.
Yeah, I think I might have I've gone for a bit of a wander outside the commentary box down behind the garages, and I've bumped into Jamie Stovold. So Jamie, bit of an up and down night tonight, qualifying third on the grid. Really good result in race number 1. Kind of went backwards a little bit in race number 2 through some circumstances, and then again finding some pace in the dry conditions for the feature race.
Yeah, race 1 was awesome. I think I sort of managed to get my head around the wet track, because I did most of the practice in the wet track. And then the second race came along and I still thought it was sort of a wet track. Tried to play it nice and cautiously, and a bit too cautiously, ended up losing many positions. But yeah, dry tyre for the end race, so managed to find a little bit of pace in there.
So what actually happened in race number 2? Was there contact and went actually back a couple of positions after some initial gains?
No, I think it was just sort of not pushing that hard. Whenever I tried to make a move on someone, I couldn't get the drive out of the corner, and then just sort of go around the outside. There was a few bits of bumping in probably every race, but nothing probably too major. I think it was just a bit of a lack of talent in the second race.
The Synergy Sim Racing Toyota GR86 does stand up to a little bit of door-to-door bumping that these Toyota GR86s tend to do, so it provides pretty good racing, which makes it very entertaining for us to call on. But pretty close racing throughout the course of the night and across a number of different drives. You had your hands full with plenty of different battles throughout the course of the race.
Absolutely, yeah. Every time I looked at the relative, trying to see who was next, it would change. Yeah, had a bit of it bumping a bit too hard with my teammate. I think he's too happy with that. Fair enough. I'll apologise to him again later. Yeah, but yeah, you can sort of bump these cars a fair bit, get the elbows out. It's good that everyone sort of does it enough not to ruin your race, but to sort of bump around as you should in touring cars. But everyone seems to be really respectful, especially in the rain. So yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, you had your choice of Ewan Baker, I think, Timmy Harris. There was also Brody Shepherd in there around you for quite a bit of the races as well. So plenty of diversity, plenty of variety. But as I said, someone made a comment before, got to buy a ticket to the last race, and you did that tonight with some good consistent results, and found yourself just off the podium, but a good points haul nonetheless.
Yeah, I have to also look at the end of that last race. I'm not really sure what happened, but yeah, went from like 8th to 3rd to 7th to I ended up 4th somehow. Yeah, good points all overall, I reckon.
All right, we'll leave it there, but congratulations on some strong results tonight. We've no doubt we'll see you in a fortnight's time as we come back for round number 4 here as part of the Ozicar Tin Top series. Great racing tonight, mate, and dust yourself off and come back, and hopefully we'll see you in the commentary box sooner rather than later.
Yeah, sounds good. Cheers, guys.
Jamie Stovold there from Synergy Sim Racing. Dave, the man of the moment. If anyone's got web feed out there tonight, it's got to be this driver.
Yep, Ben Faulkner joins us. Race 1 winner, Race 2 winner, Race 3 winner. Nothing left for you to take from Okayama.
Yeah, hey boys. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it a lot. I wasn't really too sure where my pace would be because I was a bit iffy in practice. I think it was just the changing conditions, which is not true to pace in the session. Quali was good. My first lap was pretty good, and then bottled the rest of them. But yeah, it was a good first heat. Managed to get away a bit. Second heat, same thing. Made my way through the pack pretty cleanly. And then gapped a little bit, and then the third one I just got lucky with the boys fighting behind, managed to gap the toe, and then pull away from there.
Your view of the weather conditions today?
Yeah, it was interesting. I wasn't too sure because at this track you cross over the racing line quite a bit, so you get a bit of a tank slap every time, especially through the tight section in the middle. But yeah, everywhere else it was actually better than I expected. It felt pretty good. I enjoyed it. There wasn't too much rain, not a short amount of rain, so yeah, it was a good mix. I think Ira set up the conditions good.
So you had to do it in the changeable conditions in the wet of the race number 1, in the dry of race number 3. Some teammates out there as well. What kind of information do you take from each other, particularly given the weather that we now have?
Yeah, so I mean, some of the boys were asking what lines I was taking during the race, just because of the changing conditions. So I was keeping them updated where I'm changing lines and stuff each corner. Same with tyres. Josh risked the dry tyre for the second race because he missed the first one. And it was the tyre choice for the end of the race, so we seemed definitely dries for the next one. The boys were sort of asking me the pace, what the pace was for the third race, and sort of looked at sector times and told them where they could have gone quicker. Asked about the braking zones because I think Josh wasn't able to get practice in, so he was a bit blind coming into this. But overall, I think the boys did a really good job, all of them. Brody got a bit unlucky in the third race at the end with a bit of an incident, but other than that, yeah, good overall.
Yeah, really solid result for you. Always good to have just a little bit more information with these changing conditions. I think more than ever, it is good to have some teammates.
Yeah, 100%, especially when we're not all taking exactly the same line, so we're trying different things. Everyone's doing different things, so that we communicate, tell each other what we found better, give it a go next lap. Doesn't work, go back to what we're used to, or experiment. So yeah, it's good, and especially when I'm up there and or some of them were fewer back from the incidents. It was good to see the change and sort of warn each other a heads up with different condition changes.
Belle Isle next is definitely going to be a challenge on a street circuit. Though you weren't involved in needing to do too much passing in race number 3. You had to do some of it race 1, race 2. You got the long back straight here, but Belle Isle be a bit tighter.
Yeah, I mean, Belle Isle was one of my favourite tracks in any car, so I'm looking forward to that one. Okayama, I wasn't too sure about. It's a bit iffy. I seem to go right here, but it's not like one of my preferred tracks, especially in the rain, because like I said, because of crossover, it's a bit iffy. But yeah, Belle Isle I'm looking forward to. I love straight circuits. Yeah, it's going to be a good race and probably be a bit of carnage, as a street circuit. It's pretty common. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, congratulations once again. There's nothing not nailed down that you can't take away as a trophy after that one. 3 race wins with that inverted race 2. No one could touch what you had at Okayama.
Yeah, it was a good race. I loved it, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
We'll see you there.
So, thank you.
3 race wins from 3 races for Ben Faulkner in round 2 of the Ozicar Tin Top Cup. Round 3 is Detroit Grand Prix at Belle Isle. Same time on a Monday night, 2 weeks from now. We'll see you there. I've been David Haynes with Jason Fewens and Jay Kennedy. Ozicar Tin Top Cup supported by Sim Racing League's Locked On Lads Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving, and in support of the No Social Hate campaign. What will the weather bring to Detroit in 2 weeks' time?